Welcome to this online lecture on referencing. This is very important. I know I often say things are important, but this is exceptionally important. And for those of you who are new to your study, it might be news for you to know that actually referencing is taken so seriously that actually it's even a legal matter. And this will become clear later on. But I need to emphasize that at the beginning so that you understand and safeguard yourself against any further inquiry or nasty hiccups later on. But it's not worth worrying over, certainly not before you've even started. So let's begin. Okay, so referencing is actually about being honest. It's when you tell us in an assignment where your idea came from. You should reference both points and quotes in all your written work and all presentations. In the case of presentations, this may be done verbally. You may choose to give credit for your sources within your slides. So there's a bit of leeway there, but it must be done, and we need to know where your ideas are coming from. Believe it or not, it's not actually impressive to have no references offered whatsoever in a presentation or an essay. This indicates that you haven't read much and you haven't sought the influence or insight of other people who have looked into the matter further or have had much more experience in this. So it's actually better to have more external influence on your essay rather than less. We want to see that you've been reading things. So, in your essay, the main body, or within your presentation, there are two ways of making a reference. This can be paraphrasing the idea that you've seen, and simply putting the surname and year, or the location if you don't have a name, such as a website, and the year, in the main body of your essay, so that it flows as a sentence in its own right. Make sure your year is in brackets, as I've done in this example here. The other option is that you make direct quotations. These shouldn't be too long. There are rules which we'll go into about how to reference a larger quotation, but usually these will be 1 or 2 sentences. And these will be directly as they're written in the source or the text that you are reading. Again, you want the surname and the year, but also within the brackets you want to put the page number or the location within that source. It's usually a page number. With websites it tends to be a bit simpler, but ultimately you need to make it clear to the reader where they can locate the source. And there are 2 ways that this can be done. Either with the P full stop or with a simple colon between the year and the number. If you do this, please keep to the same format. You should have the same approach to your assignments right the way through the essay or assignment. And for your own sake of peace of mind, I would encourage you to stick to this format throughout your work. But you will probably find your own preference on that. So within any essay or presentation, or however you're submitting your assignment, you may find that you lift ideas, or you may find that you also include quotations. This is all fine as well. Okay. So you're not limited to paraphrases or quotations, but you can do both, just in case that's confusing for you. Moving on to the slide. The other element to referencing is your list of references at the end, the bibliography. Now, this is probably more what you thought that this online lecture would be about. This is where you draw together everything that you've made reference to within the essay, so that when we come to marking your assignment, we can we've got more than just a name to go by in order to verify where you've drawn your ideas from and what books and sources you've been reading. This should also equally be in the presentation as well. You don't need to make comments to this within your presentations, just simply include it within your reference, include it within your document of slides. And of course, this should be visible to your audience as you're filming your presentation anyway. So I've given you an example of what a reference in a book might look like. Of course, the typeface might be a bit different, but it's good to have an example. Like all partners with the University of Chester, we do use the APA system. There may be other departments that use other referencing systems, but the Light Project use APA. And within this online lecture page, you can find a quick guide to referencing. Do keep a copy of this so that you can dip in and out. As I said at the beginning of this online lecture, do bear in mind the legalities and the importance of accrediting each and every point that has come from someone else's work. It is deemed as theft when you steal someone else's idea. And without getting too heavy about this, we do understand that sometimes it is not intentional. However, it still matters. If you use Microsoft Word and write your essays regularly on the same computer, one way to build a library of references is to go onto the References tab. I've outlined this in green for you, so most of the Microsoft Word, I think this is 2013, do some sort of referencing tab these days. If you hit the part of insert citation, there are various options within that green area that I've highlighted. First of all, select the APA style so that you're building the right sort of citations. and references. Select Insert Citation and follow the form to build each reference. The Bibliography button gives you different options for inserting a list of references at the end of your essay. So when you hit that tab, or that word within that square, it will give you different options as to which of the references that you've saved are to be included in this set of references. I'll explain why that's the case in a moment. This also this tool also gives you opportunities to put in-text citations. So this might mean that you find the name, the year, and the page number. As I said, these things are optional, and I think if you play around, you'll get a better idea of how it works by a bit of trial and error. But I've certainly found it very useful. So if you do choose to use this, you will have an ongoing list that you're building of references that you can refer back to in following assignments. Just be careful not to include the same points or be tempted to make the same points as you've made in other assignments, because that is actually plagiarizing yourself. So only use references and page numbers of things that you actually intend to use for this new assignment and this new topic. It's not advisable to attempt to write multiple assignments on the same themes anyway, unless of course you've got a component A and B to your assignment. But again, that's probably a bit confusing if your module hasn't got a part A and B sort of assignment thing to it. So that's that. As you come to the end of this study skills lecture, I'd like to give you 2 tasks. Firstly, I'd like you to feedback with 2 examples of in-text referencing. These are citations that you've made within the main body of your essay or your presentation or your document, and there will be one type of quote and one type of paraphrase of idea. Secondly, I would like 3 examples of references as you would write them in your bibliography. Of these, I would like to see 1 book, 1 journal article or equivalent, and 1 online resource, usually a website. Please choose references that are relevant to either what you're studying now or something you know that you will be studying later. Maybe it's part of your required reading for the year. Do try to keep these useful to you, because you can then go back to them and use them again when you come to complete your assignments. Hope this is useful for you, and please do get in touch with any questions if there's any problems with this. It's very important you get references right, and it also is particularly of interest to us when we're marking your work to see this done well.